Heat, 981fm.com, and iHeartStation.
Nancia, Smokehouse, it's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach Live.
Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in live, always get the business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Coach La 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 La. How y'all feeling? It's a good day in the neighborhood. I have had me an excellent weekend in so many different ways. Shout out to everybody at UMass Boston, my alma mater. Yes, we did our 5K, y'all. This is my third 5K for 2025. I am now addicted. I tell you that. The camaraderie, the community, the trails, the routes is really it's empowering and inspiring all at the same time. So that is somebody is calling me already. I just started the show. You can't call me yet, y'all people. I don't know why. Is something going on and y'all can't see me? Because I see everything is fine. Hold on, caller, but not right now. Call back in about 5 minutes. On top of that, we also have had we've had the 5K, and then I participated in a alumni for the Black Student Center at FET Boston. So shout out to everybody at FET Boston. We had a great time just socializing and catching up with one another. I cannot believe it's been 25 years since I graduated from undergraduate school. Is that crazy? But that is the case. So you guys know this particular season is all about the power of the pivot. And it's all about reclaiming your voice and space, no matter what is going on. You guys know I'm always talking about betting on self. And how do you do that when life is lifing and you're trying to figure things out, trying to understand what you're going through, why you're going through it? And if you've ever been in that situation where you say, why me? You know, why me, Lord? Why am I going through this? Like, why can't my life just be rosy and the street just paved all nicely? And it seems like sometimes there's a lot of bumps and dips in the road, and it gets a little hard to, to figure out how to stay in the driver's seat. Sometimes you just want somebody else to drive. So we've been talking about the power of the pivot and how life's and how we can connect that to mental health. Because as I've said it on multiple occasions, we all have mental health. Not everybody has a mental health disorder, but everybody is managing their mental health just like they're managing their physical health. And which means we're all in this together and being able to really understand that no one is exempt from having a mental health crisis. But that does not mean that you have a mental health disorder. It just means that sometimes life comes and, kicks you in the butt, sticks his foot out, trips you. And we got to figure out how to keep moving even after we've tripped and scraped our knees and got bust up beside the head to the white meat, all that good stuff. I know you're like, Coach, what are you talking about, girl? But you know what I'm talking about. This conversation is for those that understand, and for those that don't, it's okay. You ain't really went through nothing yet. So maybe you don't understand about being hit upside the head to the white meat. But for those that have, this conversation tonight is for you. Primarily, the reason why I'm talking about this in the terms of fighting is that tonight's conversation is for the men, primarily my brothers, my black men, the ones out there that are fighting the struggle every day to be good dads, to be stand-up husbands, and just good dudes, right? we want to talk about that, and we want to talk about mental health as it relates to you. So I have a guest that's going to help me do this, and I'm super excited about having him on the show. He's actually been here before, and you might even seen him on the Urban Heat doing his thing, because he's also a DJ, but he's also an author if you didn't know that. So tonight we're going to be talking to a Bostonian who's born and raised in by way of Mattapan, which I live in Mattapan and have lived in Mattapan now for 21 years. But I am a Roxbury girl now in Mattapan. And he's a father, he's an author, he's a family guy, and he's just really a down-to-earth personality that has a lot of knowledge. He has a bachelor's degree. He's also working on his master's. And I am excited to learn more about how he sees masculinity and how he sees therapy and why he thinks it's important for Black men to get support. And it might not be your traditional sit down on the couch across from a therapist, but how can Black men not suffer in silence and get the support that they need? So I want to bring on my friend, my radio brother, from another mother. I guess that can still go, right? I don't know if that really went, y'all, but I got a sense of humor. Y'all, my family thinks I'm corny, whatever. But I want to welcome you. For those who don't know him, I want to introduce you to author, Mr. Eric Jones. I'm about to turn your mic on. I want you to say what's up to the people. How you doing over there?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You sound good. The mic sounds nice. Check 1. Mic sounds nice. Check 2. What's up, EJ?
Not much,
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on this evening.
I appreciate you coming to, sit down and get on the couch. People be scared to get on the couch with me. It's not that bad. I don't bite, I'm gonna make you a little uncomfortable. It's a little bit of a hot seat, but not burning hot, but just, a little warm, but warm in a good way, like a nice hug.
Yeah.
Right. And so tonight's conversation, I know we both have talked offline, and according to your bio, this is something that's near and dear to your heart, especially since you wrote a book about being able to heal and scars that heal, right? Did I get the title right?
Yep, you got it.
So I want to know, and I'm sure those that are tuning in who've never heard of you before and are being introduced to you for the first time, what is something that you want them to know that they can't find by reading the jacket of your book or Googling you? Who is Eric Jones, Sr., to be exact?
Well, I choose to move as being a leader, for my children, someone to guide them, just be, to be someone that they can just look up to, someone that they can talk to. Because I know a lot of times, being a youth in Mattapan growing up, my mother and father, they worked a lot of hours. So I didn't really have anybody to really turn to except for my friends. And some of them gave some okay advice, but many of them gave some really bad advice as well. And some of that bad advice, I followed it because it was just easier to go that route. So, I just, as far as myself as a person, as a man, and as a father, I just always try to make sure that I'm always emotionally, available to my children for them to talk to through anything that they're going through in life, whether it be a work situation, a relationship. My oldest son, he has a son who's my grandson.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to put that out there that way, just to say, because I know sometimes he faces challenges with, my grandson he's a pre-teenager, and
right.
That mood swing is starting to change where he just kind of, he's feeling himself. So I'm just, I have to have those conversations with my oldest son to let him know, listen, you were once that guy yourself, and this is how I dealt with that. So I'm going to give you these tools for you to utilize with your son. You might have to do things a little bit differently, but if you use those same tools that I provided to you, maybe they may work for you, and you might have to add something to it, but I'm here to help guide you through that along the way.
Yeah. You wear multiple hats, you do multiple things from real estate, and, you are a computer technical support. That was a tongue twister. But you wear many hats that don't necessarily, I guess, interlock. Like, people wouldn't necessarily see a real estate agent, technical support person, an author, a DJ. Like, you do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
How do you manage? Oh, and I'm sorry, you also a certified tax preparer too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I love that you have that entrepreneur spirit. And I think most people that I bring on the show have layers to them.
Yeah.
That people won't necessarily know unless they have a conversation with you. Some people probably meet you and just think you're a DJ.
Yeah.
But you're way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you define masculinity from your perspective?
The way that I define masculinity is being able to take charge in certain situations when needed. You know, from a relationship perspective, the masculine part of a man, I feel as though, should be able to make the woman that he's with feel safe. And that comes with a lot of trust, a lot of consistency with, you know, making that woman feel safe, and also, you know, taking charge when you need to take charge. Because, you know, for the most part, women want a man who can lead them. But in order for a man to be able to lead a woman, she's going to have to first be able to trust that he can lead her.
Mm-hmm.
So it plays, you know. On
okay.
Yeah. Because without that trust, I mean, a woman's not going to feel safe with that man leading her.
It's interesting that you keep bringing up the word trust, lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, according to, you know, Google's definition, masculinity is just qualities and attributes that are considered or regarded to be characteristics of men and boys, right? So then that brings me to this whole idea of what is a man, and AKA what is a boy. And you know, in this world that we're living in now, gender and gender roles and gender identity has become more and more fluid. And it's not as straightforward as I think it was when I was coming up, right? There's so many layers and legs to it, you know. How does that therefore then work, right? Because I think the idea of masculinity at times means that you guys are supposed to lead and have it together and know what to do. But is that just something that's just natural because you're identifying as a male? Do you think all men just naturally have these characteristics?
No, all men don't.
And right.
And the reason why they don't have those characteristics is because, you know, I'm finding a lot more now, not so much, you know, during my generation, but definitely a lot more now. You have a lot of women, mothers, who like to coddle their sons. And that becomes a huge problem, you know, not only for that young man grooming himself into becoming a man, but also within the relationships that he's in. Because then it's like the girlfriend, you know, if it's a teenage, you know, boy who's dating a teenage girl, they kind of, you know, the girlfriend kind of feels like she's in a battle with the mother, because the mother's basically coddling the son like that is her man, and the son feels like the mother's his girlfriend. So now sounds
very Freudian.
Yeah, but that
going on here.
But that happens quite often, and that creates a huge problem within a relationship, because, you know.
So we talking about the classic like mama's boy concept? Is that what you're kind of describing?
Yeah.
So when you say coddling, right, I think of a couple things. Like the nature of a mother is to nurture.
Yeah.
Right? Is to provide care, to take care of her children.
Yep.
Right? So at some point it sounds like mothers are supposed to stop doing that.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying that mothers are supposed to stop doing that, but there's certain boundaries that they just don't put in place when they're doing that. So, for instance, if your son, I was
just about to ask you, what's an example of a boundary?
So like a boundary will be like, okay, your son's a teenager, and you've taught him how to wash his own clothes, right? So once that point comes when you've taught him how to wash his own clothes, that's just a duty that he should be responsible enough to do for himself.
Okay.
It should no longer be mom washing the clothes, folding his clothes, or even cleaning up his room.
Okay.
Or, you know, if he's working a part-time job or whatever, that responsibility should kick in, where it's like, okay, if you want to buy yourself a PlayStation or a new pair of sneakers or buy some clothes for yourself, that's your responsibility now. Because if you're not really putting your son in a place where he can groom himself into becoming a man and being responsible, how is he going to be responsible for a lady later on?
Okay, you're dropping, you know, and I got your perspective there, right? So that's some people's, I
Mhm.
guess, interaction.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
what about the women who are taking more of a masculine role and they are being very hard on their sons, and you're the man of the house, and
Mhm.
you have a tremendous amount of responsibility at even a young age. What do you think about that? Is that the more
So
appropriate way to do it?
so when you're saying the woman taking the masculine role in the house, is she still in the house with the man as the father of the children?
I mean, it
Is that
could be. It
okay?
could be that the
Well,
father's in the house. Sometimes, women are the behind the scenes running the household,
yeah.
right? I mean, and calling all the shots.
Yeah.
But I'm more so looking at when it's not I'm taking care of you. It's like, listen, you're the man of the house. You need to be taking care of me.
Yeah.
Because that's so I don't know if that's still being a mama's boy, but a lot of the men that I have encountered, especially ones from inner city, have felt like they were responsible for taking care of their mother. And at a very early age, are parentified. I mean, I think boys and girls can get parentified where they're the man of the house, but you're a little boy. You're not the man of the house.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's where those boundaries come in place. I mean, I feel like if it's a woman who is living in the house with a man, and they have children together, and if she's, taking on that masculine role, that's because she doesn't have trust in that man that she's with to lead. So that's where that trust comes into play.
But so many households, there's absentee dads where there's not a man in the house, right? There's a high number of single parent households where there's the statement of being the mother and the father, where women are feeling like they have to play both roles. And this idea of coddling, I don't know that a lot of men are getting coddled. I think that a lot of men are lacking the experience of being mothered. I think that what has happened is there's been a hyper focus on women to play both roles that I think men are missing out or have missed having a mother to nurture them and take care of them. It's like, you can't have emotions. You can't cry. That's not being a man. You need to, man up, right? I'm gonna punch you in the chest. That's what I've seen, in terms of experiences, some of what my clients have expressed, that they didn't feel like they were mothered.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it really applies so much now, but I know back when I was a kid, it's like a lot of the mothers in the neighborhood, they showed their sons like that tough love. That's basically what it was.
And you have your own mother hemming you up, punching you in the chest. So,
I mean, I don't really think that they need to go to that extreme.
Have you seen that though? Have you witnessed mothers being tougher in that way?
I've like back when I used to coach Pop Warner football, and there were times where sometimes I would see like some of the kids coming off the field crying because they got hit too hard on the field or something like that. Yeah, I've seen mothers like snatch their sons up and, they're punching these dudes in the chest, or they got the helmet on. They're slapping upside their helmet because they're like, listen, this is a game of football. This is a contact sport. You're supposed to be tough while you're out there.
Right.
But the whole concept of it is like, is the kid out there because he wants to be out there? Or is he out there just because you want to get him out the house and have something for him to do? Because the sport of football is just not for everybody.
Yeah, but I think mothers in general, or parents in general, try to expose their kids to things that help build character. Sportsmanship is one of the ways that they do that. But would you agree or disagree that usually there's a hyper focus on toughness, and those qualities of toughness and strength are usually associated with masculinity?
Yes, I would have to agree with that.
So when you think about, especially for Black women, this idea of strength and being strong and toughness also often eliminates us from being able to be soft or feminine because we have to be tough.
Yeah.
So if men are being told to be tough, Black women especially are being told to be tough. I think that often sometimes may create that clash of women being seen as being more masculine, but is that really what's happening? Or is this just a manifestation of environment and growing up in the inner city where you have to endure a lot more stressors maybe than some people who have a softer ground to kind of walk on?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I definitely feel as though it's the community that you grow up in. You just have to be tough because your awareness has to be like laser focused because of all the things that take place within the inner city. And then on the other side of it, it's like when you have a single mother who is, you know, basically playing the role of a mother and a father to their sons or son and daughter, you know, she has to give like that feminine side of herself, but she also has to give that masculine side of herself as well, because she's taking care of everything within the house, especially if that father is just not involved in the children's life at all. It just makes it that much tougher for her, you know, and that's when where the independence comes in. You know, that masculine energy from her starts to, you know, spew out of her, because that's what she has to do, because now she's playing the role of a mother and a father.
So I challenge, right? So I guess, you know, in this new world order that we find ourselves in, this narrative of labeling and characteristics, right? Like, so strength, leadership, getting things done, tasks, being task oriented, all of that is what men do, right? Women are supposed to be more receiving and soft and, you know, nurturing and go with the flow, right? And I think some of that kind of creates some challenges, right? Like at the end of the day, being ambitious only to a certain extent, right? At some point, you need to be led, right? And then we go back to the idea of trust. So how do you think trust is built in a in the terms of these dynamics?
I mean, trust is, the way that it's built is based on consistency.
So I think about being a man of your word. Like, that's a cliche. That's a statement, right? You know, be a man of your word. Even if you're a woman, right? I've heard people say, you know, be a woman of your word. So I'm just curious, as we think about masculinity, how is one to learn what is expected and how to be a man? Is that just instinctively, and we've already kind of debunked this, that you just because you have genitalia that says you're a man doesn't mean that you're going to have qualities and attributes that are considered to be connected to being a man.
I mean, it's not something that just happens overnight.
So you have to learn it.
It's definitely something that's developed from the time that you're a child.
Yes.
And if you have some positive role models, male role models in your life, then that's something that you will start to develop over time. No one just acquires that, like, okay, I'm a masculine man. I know how to take care of my responsibilities. I know how to make my woman feel safe. I know how to lead and all these different things. It's something that just happens over time.
Okay, so you have to learn
experiences.
it. So, so I agree. I think you have to learn both, and you are a product of your environment. You get taught, you read, your different experience help mold you into the man or the woman that you're going to become or that you are. So if that is the case, then how does one get to a place if they don't have those skills in their relationship to earn the trust of a woman, if you have to do trial and error? Is it just because you were coddled? Because what if your mother did try to teach that stuff to you the best that she knew how, put you in all of the right places, and you still don't really got it as a man?
I mean, it's just one of those things where if you don't have it, you just don't have it.
Really? So you can't still learn it? You don't think there's time that you can still evolve?
It all depends upon what age you are.
Okay.
Because
tell me more.
Like, if you're someone who's in your early 20s, or even your early 30s, you might still be able to learn that. But once you hit that 40, 50-year-old mark, you're just pretty much who you are.
Right. So you can't you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
No.
Really?
No, for the most part, most people at that stage of the game, 40, 50, 60, if that's their way, that's just their way.
Gotcha.
They're not trying to learn nothing else.
Okay. So I can agree to disagree. I think it depends on the person. I don't think that that's the case across the board. I think that as long as we're on the other side of the ground, we have the ability to learn, evolve, and to become the best versions or better versions of ourselves if we so choose. All right, y'all. Y'all are tuned into Conversations with Coach La 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 right here on the Urban Heat. Y'all know we are Boston's only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform. And we are talking to author, music extraordinaire, DJ, Mr. EJ Eric Jones, about masculinity and therapy, especially as it relates to Black men in particular. So I think we got on the same page that masculinity is not just connected just to gender and your genitalia. That is something that you learn, and that over time you develop, and etc. We can agree to disagree that I think the only thing that causes this is coddling. I think that there's a certain extent that you do need to be mothered.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful thing if you are still able to be mothered and have a parent that cares for you, nurtures you, that you can still go to your mother's house and get a hot meal and have a conversation and get a hug and be told, you know what, son, you got this. I know life is kicking you in the butt, but I know and trust that you are going to figure it out, right? Like, if you need guidance, I'm here, right? But I've given you enough tools to get out here in the world and make your mistakes and find your way. I wonder if there is too much pressure often on men to be these providers and to have it all together when they haven't had a blueprint and they haven't had those models and those support systems that somehow us women in the world can expect you to be a leader and have it all together, and that pressure when deep down inside you don't know what the heck you doing.
Yeah.
What you think about that?
Well, I mean, no man's gonna, come to this earth planet and know everything.
Yes.
But you have to be able to have that willingness to, reach out to some close friends of yours that may be married in long-term relationships and talk with them and kind of sit down at the round table to have that discussion as to how do they navigate through certain things. Because if the man is really paying attention to what's going on within his relationship and he faces a certain challenge within the relationship that he doesn't know how to navigate through, then he should be consulting with some of his closest friends with the hopes that they can somewhat guide him or provide him with the answers to be able to navigate through that situation that he's going through, or whatever it is that he's trying to fix, do, or whatever with his woman. Because to just sit back and say, well, you know what? I don't know how to do this, and I'm not going to try to learn how to do it. It just is what it is. I mean, that's just not the final answer.
Right. Okay.
Especially if you love and you cherish the relationship with the person that you're with, you're going to go the extra mile to say, you know what? I don't know how to navigate through this, but I know some people who might know how to do it. And I'm going to do that because I love this woman that I'm with, and I'm willing to put my best foot forward to get those tools that I need to navigate through the situation.
I love that. Good evening, Bella Ray. Thank you for tuning in. And shout out to everybody that's tuned in through Facebook, iHeartRadio, LinkedIn. Also, we got Instagram on the check-in as well. I see y'all out there. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. How y'all doing? Hey. Coach La, your favorite around the way therapist, is currently in the driver's seat on this virtual couch. I'm liking what you're talking about, EJ, but I'm gonna challenge some of this, right? I challenge it because often I feel like relationships are mirrors. They open you up, and it usually, at least from my clinical lens, those are often the things that start to expose the things you missed in your parenting. It exposes your shortcomings, your strengths, your needs, your wants, your non-negotiables. Like, that's often where most people come to therapy, right? They're in a relationship, things are not working, or they start to see a pattern of things not working. It's troublesome that's often the catalyst. Like, why not say, you know what? I know I got a lot of stuff that happened in the past, parenting wise. Let me be the best version of myself. Whatever I'm looking for in a partner, do I possess those qualities? Yeah. Right? Do I understand? And I know that, I've been challenged on this. Most people just don't think like this, right? But wouldn't it be an interesting place if people said, you know what am I bringing to the table? And how am I engaging in this relationship? What are my expectations in this relationship? Is that realistic? Right? These gender norms that we all have been sort of grappling with, or been perpetuated on us on what a man's supposed to do, what a woman's supposed to do. we're supposed to get married. You know, who doesn't want that American dream? You want to be married, you want to have your 2 kids, your dog, and your picket fence, right?
Yep.
You want to both have good jobs, you know, you want to buy your house, you want to go on at least 1 or 2 vacations a year. Like these are like the standard things. People want to do all this stuff by 30, you know, like, and then life's, right? And I think for a lot of us, we're not hitting those markers. And when you said, you know, by 50, you're set in your ways and you can't, you know, navigate or change. Sometimes it's because of life and trust.
Yeah.
Right? Like you come across a lot of people who just didn't turn out to be who you thought they were.
Yep.
And so now you create certain protective things, right? To help keep you safe. You got trust issues now. And all these kind of things, which brings me to one of my favorite segments of the show, right? Which is what does therapy mean to you, right? Because I think often this is where people start to seek out a therapist, right?
Yeah.
They start to want clarity. They're trying to make connections. They're trying to, is it me? Maybe it's me. Or as Cardi's B new album, maybe I am the drama, right?
Yep.
You know, I am the toxic one in this relationship. You start to realize maybe I am bringing a lot of the mess to what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's not these other people. You stop projecting and you start to want to look within. So for you, has therapy played a role in some of your insight? Because you're very insightful, you know, very grounded. How did you get to be here?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, a lot of it has come from therapy because I don't have all of the answers. And, you know, sitting down with someone that I could be vulnerable enough to open up my heart and express how I feel about certain situations and how I should handle them, you know, it's helped me to navigate through a lot of processes in life. That's even just my own challenges, dealing with some death in my family, and then also being able to get those extra tools that I need to become an even better person, a better father, a better friend, a better, you know, coworker, all of those things. So, you know, therapy has helped me on so many different levels. And it's like, you know, it just gives me a platform to be able to open up and speak freely without being judged, and knowing that at the end of that conversation, it stays confidential. And if there's anything I want to be able to touch on within the next session, I can do that. You know, I don't have to worry about anything that I've just talked about being used against me. So it's just a really safe space, and it's a really great platform to have, just to be able to let some things out. Because I mean, I don't always feel my best every single day. For the most part, people see me, they're like, oh, you know, you're fun, going, loving kind of guy or whatever, but they don't see those times when I'm in the shower and I'm thinking about my loved ones, and then I'm crying in the shower, and those tears are blending in with the water, so it doesn't feel like I'm crying. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part that a lot of folks don't see, like that sad side. Because one thing I'm great at doing is masking pain. You will never know when
I'm so glad you said that.
You will never ever know that I'm feeling angry about anything, because I know how to control my emotions.
So I have really loved the work of she says she's not a therapist. She calls herself a capacity coach, Raquel. And not to allow your trauma and your circumstances to become part of your identity, and that emotions in particular are like traffic signals, right? They're really just a way of letting you know that there's something about a situation that's making you not feel safe or making you uneasy, something about the person, place, the thing that you need to kind of take a minute, pause for a second, reflect. They're not always the most valid ways to make decisions, right? That's where logic and you know, tapping into your amygdala, and the fact that as human beings, we have logic and we have understanding, because we all have animalistic kind of tendencies, right? We either want to, you know, seek pleasure, avoid pain, and then we want to find the easiest ways to do either one of those two things. And that is just human behavior. Y'all can go take a look at that. So we're all pretty much seeking out ways to get needs met and to get fulfilled, which is why when we start talking about masculinity and a man's needs versus a woman's needs and it being transactional and the nature of relationships, the basis of it is usually transactional, right? I love you, you love me. I love you because you do things that I like. I love you because of how you look. I love you because you make me feel good. There's something that creates that, right? And so from there, it's like, okay, beyond that, you know, beyond that love, because you need more than love to make a relationship.
Oh, most certainly.
Be able to be sustainable over time, right? You won't always love everything a person does. A person won't always be in a good space. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, which, again, I was talking to someone recently about, if I'm not happy in my marriage, then I shouldn't be in it. What do you think about that statement? Before I tell you my perspective, but it made me think about this idea of happiness and relationships in general, that everything's all good while it's all good until you're not making me happy anymore. You did something I don't like. And sometimes it's something I don't like. It's a boundary. Having that hard conversation, and now all of a sudden the relationship is not as fun because now it gets serious, right? Now I'm calling you out on things. I'm letting you know what I like and what I don't like. And you're like, wait a minute. This is where the stuck in your ways kind of comes in at, right? Like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. This if you don't like this, get to stepping. One monkey don't stop no show, right? This is why I got to keep a bunch of chicks, right? Like, I know from my perspective, masculinity has been about men call the shots and do what they want to do, and we as women either get with it or don't get with it.
Well, I mean, I don't think that should be. I don't think that's a fair thing to say, because, you know, all relationships come with compromise. I mean, you can't just sit back and say, oh, I'm mad about this or that, I'm leaving the relationship. I mean, communicate with your partner, express to them how you feel about a certain situation. Now, if that behavior continues, then that's another conversation, because now you're not listening. You're not actively listening to what I'm saying. Okay. Because there's one thing to listen and nod your head like, yeah, okay.
I'm listening, but am I comprehending?
Exactly. So that's where the active listening comes in.
But I'm gonna add another level to this. I can comprehend and then therefore not agree. And in compromise, sometimes listening to you and saying, yep, okay, I hear you, babe. Doesn't mean I'm gonna do what you just told me to do. Right. And I think it's not just listening, it's also I need you to do what I'm suggesting. For you to keep having access to me, you need to do this, this, and this. And so it's not necessarily always just compromise. Some of it is, that's a hard no. That's a stop. That's a, I don't like that. That's a, safety word, pickles, oranges, whatever y'all safety words are out there. Right? Like, it's a hard stop, right? So I think it's not always compromise. Sometimes these are firm no's. Like, I don't want to be cheated on. If we're in a relationship, you don't like something, we talk about it. You don't go cheat. If you cheat, there's no explanation for it. That's a deal breaker for me. I'm out. And I think sometimes it gets gray for people. And what formerly was a non-negotiable, right? This new person, I might like them. I might feel like I'm never gonna find this type again. Like, oh my God, he's 6'5", he's chocolate, he got yang, you know. And I'm not, so I'm compromising my own boundaries and my own non-negotiables because I put this particular person on this plateau, on this pedestal, that this is the best I'm gonna get, the best I'm going to do. Or you are a guy who got a lot of options, right? Go back to masculinity, right? I could listen. You a dime a dozen. You ain't the only 10 I didn't have. You either get down with the get down or you get to step in. Again, led, and the things that women will tolerate or put up with in terms of being led and being provided for and taken care of often are unhealthy behaviors that are also part of masculinity. Even though I'm not saying I agree with this, people, I'm just saying there are probably more women who have tolerated and dealt with cheating than there is men who have tolerated and dealt with cheating. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I know quite a few women who have been cheated on, and they're still with the same guys that cheated on them.
Right. And the man will say things like,
yeah.
baby, you know I love you.
Mm-hmm.
You listen, that's just me being a man.
Yeah.
That's just me being a man. That don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of men that don't believe in monogamy. They feel like, listen, I got to be able to sometimes go try something else out.
Yeah.
But I take care of you. I take care of home. I'm home every night.
Yeah.
And compromise. I go back to this compromise thing.
Yeah.
You put, she compromises and goes, he's right. He is leading. He does take care of home. All my other needs are met.
Yeah.
So I can just accept this. And then she's in therapy with me, dealing with her insecurities and her anxiety. And she's trying to figure out why she's so anxious and why she's not happy in her marriage. And then we find out all of this stuff that I just told you, this backdrop stuff. And I'm like, do you ever think that because that's the dynamic, that this is the reason why there's this underlying tone of anxiety and depression for what you're accepting to be a kept woman per se? I don't want to get too far off topic, but I think some of these masculinity norms, I think, set up women and men for some of the toxicity and some of the unhealthy behaviors that we see. Because how do you define being a man? If a man is the number of women you can conquest, the size of your penis, how much money you make, right? Those characteristics of being of a man, right? But is that really what it is to be a man? Because men cry, men get hurt, men have insecurities, but those are often not things that are actively, at least from my therapy perspective and what men talk to me in therapy, they're not able to really talk about those things. They're supposed to just have it together. Yeah. Right? Being a man is to have it together and to never let people see you sweat. For you to be tough, for you to be strong, and for you to know what you're doing. And even if you don't, you better fake it like you do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the most part, it's like, you know,
I'm not a man, y'all, but this is stuff that people reported. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's like, you know, like you just mentioned moments ago, men are looked at to be masculine, right? So I'm going to give you a perfect example. When my sister passed away in 2020, right? Me and my sister were like super close. I have two brothers that live in North Carolina. I have a baby sister that lives here. But, you know, with my mom, it's me and my sister. So we spent so much time in the house. We've been through the good times, the bad times, you know, together. So, you know, seeing my sister for the final time, because during COVID, when she was in hospital, I couldn't visit her. But seeing her for the final time at the actual funeral, and then I'm reading off the obituary, I'm making sure that everything's in place. You know, I didn't really get a lot of help from my parents because, you know, they were just kind of going through their emotions and so on and so forth. So all of that responsibility was on me. And then once the funeral was over, that's when it like really finally hit me that my sister had passed, right? So I'm crying like hysterically because, like I said, me and my sister were so close. And my mother's like, "What are you crying for? You need to..." And I'm like, wait, what? So
I'm sorry about your sister.
Yeah, thank you.
That's tough.
Yeah. So during that time, like my mother was always the one that showed that tough love. There was no spoiling or none of that. Like, listen, I'm going to teach you how to wash clothes at the age of 7. I'm going to teach you how to mow the lawn at the age of 10. Like I learned how to do all of these things at a very early age. But, you know, kind of like just getting back to my point, it was like I didn't really have an opportunity to really start the grieving process of losing my sister. Because it was like, you know, my mother's like, you need to straighten it up and get it together. It's like,
and everybody that's listening, you can relate to that because I think that is most of the guys that I talk to have experienced that. That piece of, even with their wives. Women get mad at me. Y'all probably gonna get mad at me right now, but a lot of women don't want to see that man cry. That's a sign of weakness. Most women don't want to cry because they think it's a sign of weakness. Again, everybody, crying is a part of self-care. I'm looking in the camera, right? Like you need to get it out. It is part of just stretching your muscles and everything else. If you're constantly holding everything in, you're like a soda bottle that's just waiting to explode. Like you have to have an outlet, and tears are release, right? So imagine years and years and years of you just trying to be strong and not cry, right? Where do you go with all of that? Which takes me to what I really, some of the things I found out, some of the did you knows, right?
Mhm.
Some of the statistics are troubling, because why are men continuing to suffer in silence is really important, because it's Suicide Awareness Month, y'all. And some of our brothers are hurting, and they will cry in the car, in the shower, and they will mask that pain. And you will never know that they are crumbling and that they're falling apart, and they're constantly to go to. There are too many of my brothers that have recently passed away of the community, heart attacks, strokes, all these different things. And I think some of these silent things that are happening is due to all of this. Where do they go? Where do our brothers go? 70% of adults worldwide will experience at least one traumatic event. And think about our brothers that are living in the hood. They're experiencing way more traumatic events, probably way more than one. Consistently traumatic trauma, all around them, constantly. Grieving, losing people, damn near getting killed themselves. So where do they go through all of that? And according to the CDC, the suicide rate among U.S. males is about 4 times higher than that of females. So ladies, the pressure that we put on our sons, this idea that you're saying we're coddling them too much, I think we're not giving men enough love. I think they're not getting enough hugs. I think they're not getting enough support. I think they're not getting enough encouragement. I think we're not recognizing that just because you have a penis and you get born a male, that does not constitute that you got it all together and you know every move to make and you understand what to do, especially when there's such an increase of absentee daddies in people's lives. How are these men supposed to learn all of these things? Right? How are they supposed to learn this? And then Black women, we're also being strong. So where do we give the space for men who didn't get that, didn't get nurtured, didn't get the fathering? Now you got this woman, and the woman is equally as hard.
Yeah.
Right? What you crying for? Man up. Provide. Go out and get a job. Go do this. Go do that. And you wonder why some of our brothers make some of these not so great decisions. They're under emotional distress.
Yeah.
They're out here just trying to figure it out. I know this is not what y'all expecting, but I am the mom of a 19-year-old. And I think having a son has really made me change a lot of things that I was thinking, because my son has to learn, he has to grow, he has to evolve. And yes, most of that is on me and the mentors and the people that I bring around him. But there also is a part that my son still wants to be independent and figure things out for himself, which means he's going to make mistakes. He's not always going to get everything right. And why is this important? In the younger age groups, this is between the ages of 10 to 34, suicide is the second leading cause of death. And people are like, well, I don't understand. Why would anybody want to kill themselves? They got so much life to live. They should be so optimistic and hopeful. But when you feel like you don't have any options, when you feel like you have no clue about what to do, when you feel like people are telling you you're the man of the house, but you ain't never had a man in the house to show you what being a man of the house is. You got females out here that are expecting you to wine and dine them and give them the soft life, and you ain't even figured out how to have a life. And there's some of these young men out here that are trying to impress these young ladies and show that they can provide, and they ain't got anything to provide with yet, right? Which takes me to another topic. I'm not even gonna go there because it's gonna take me somewhere I don't want to go. I want to stay on topic here. So it's important to understand that men are struggling. Right? There's a lot of suffering in the silence, a lot of masking emotions that transpires. You just said that you do it. I know a lot of men who've told me that they do it. A lot of men don't feel comfortable having these conversations with their wives. Why, women? Do you know why? Because he's supposed to lead and he's supposed to have the answers. So to drop his guard down and to tell you, I don't know what to do, baby, is sometimes difficult. Would you agree or disagree? I don't want to speak for men because that's why I brought you on the show.
No, I mean, I would have to agree with that wholeheartedly, because that level of trust that goes both ways. It's like sometimes men will hold back what they want to share with their spouse or their girlfriend, because I hate to say this, but sometimes it actually gets used against these men. So it's like now they don't have that outlet to. Now that man doesn't have you as a safe space to be able to have that conversation with, which can allude to even more problems because he might have, there could be a female friend of his that he can go and talk to, and now he's emotionally connecting to her, and now that just creates an even bigger problem.
Oh,
And
I'm
that-
so glad you said that.
Yeah.
The epidemic of the
Yeah,
side
yeah.
chick, y'all.
Yeah,
Where
because
y'all think these side chicks came from?
Yeah.
Why you think
So-
they're there?
yeah, so that's
Prostitution legalized.
yeah, so that's typically how that happens because I mean, let's just be clear on this. If the man is everything to the woman and the woman is everything to the man, then there's really no reason for them to go outside of what they already have. But if I know that I can't come home and talk to you about something that I'm dealing with because I'm going to be called a simp, I'm weak, I'm a punk, so on and so forth, I'm not even going to bring that to you.
And sometimes we don't have to say it, ladies.
Yeah.
It's the dismissiveness
Yeah.
of it, or changing of the subject,
Mhm.
or the not acknowledging it, or
Yeah.
kind of just like, yeah, but you'll figure it out. You got this. You know, and I know that some of it we don't know really what to say, right? And how to be supportive,
Mhm.
which takes us back to then what things do you think? What do you think because I know soon we're going to have to go to commercial break. So what are some things that we can do, spaces, places, from your perspective? What do you think can help this situation?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things to help the situation is, for our ladies to first acknowledge, what it is that we're expressing. And after we express, our feelings and our thoughts, if our significant other doesn't have the answer, then let's pull together to try to see if we can get those resources together to find out what those answers are. Because I know if I have a woman that's working to help me to navigate through something, and she's like, well, I don't know anything about it, but I hear you out, and I'm going to help you to get through this situation and help you navigate through it, because I might have some resources over here, or I can do some research here, or whatever. That is so much better than to just be so dismissive to a man's thoughts, like you just don't care. And like I said earlier, actively listening to what I'm saying, because if I'm expressing how I feel about something, as soon as I'm done talking, like, you shouldn't be ready to like fire off and give an answer to what I'm saying, because you have to first digest what I just said to you.
It's called active listening, reflective listening.
Yeah.
And we all could do a little bit better with that, right?
Yeah.
Which is, if you're already in your head with a rebuttal, you didn't hear me.
You didn't hear me. Yeah.
Right. And I think the ability to be able to agree to disagree, and this goes back to the listening and the comprehension. I think what happens is that we're all defending our perspective, or we feel misunderstood.
Yep.
That's what creates arguments, right? Debates come from, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant. No, you got that wrong. That's not how I intended to make you feel. No, I didn't do that. What do you mean I did that? That's not what I did. What do you mean I always do that? I never do that. That's not true. So I think when we are presenting and framing things, we can use absolutes, and absolutes is always, never, and we don't really take into context the full picture of it. And we're coming from such an emotional space, being led by our feelings, that we don't actually look at the full picture of it, which is, dag, wait a minute. My man is actually coming and telling me that something is hard for him, and he's opening up. I want him to talk to me. He's talking to me. And maybe I should sit still and listen. Okay, babe. So am I hearing that you don't really know which way we should go, and that this is overwhelming? Am I hearing you right? Well, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should process? Babe, I don't even know. And going back to your point, well, you want me to go research this or look into that? He may even tell you, no, babe, I don't want you to do anything. I just needed you to know I'm trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Now here, women, this is where it gets tricky, because sometimes due to trust, that kicks us into masculinity mode, right? Oh no, I ain't gonna wait for him to figure it out. The last dude I was dealing with, he said that the lights was off and we didn't have no housing. And you go immediately into, I need to fix it mode. And you didn't hear him say, no, babe, I just wanted to let you know I'm working on it. I didn't want you to be blindsided. I'm gonna figure it out, right? That doesn't mean jump into fix it mode, ladies. That may mean, yeah, you might do a little investigating on your own, right? You might, give it a little bit, turn back, babe. Yesterday you said some things and it's got me a little concerned, and I just want to check in and see how things are going. He might change it to new tune.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe you do it in a way that he asks you something, you go, oh yeah, I found something on that. You just kind of throw it in conversation. You know how when we need our nails done, our hair done, we'd be like, oh, it's been so long since I got my hair done, babe. You don't really ask him for the money, but you put it out there, and usually men are listening, and next thing you know, you get that cash app. Babe, I heard you mention that you need your hair done. I just cashed apped you the money. The same way we do that, you sort of do this. Oh, I just came across something. I don't know how it just came across my desk. He may in his mind be like, I know she wouldn't look that up. And you probably even think it's cute, but it's all in how we approach it, ladies. Yeah. It's all in how we support it. And I think if we lead from love and compromise and you're coming from a place of care, I think it can work out. I think sometimes men don't want to seem like they don't have it together, but indirectly he's telling you in a way he don't really know, but he don't want you to jump out the window yet. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man, this has been a juicy conversation. Shout out to everybody that's on the live. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge you guys. Suzanne Ogbarn, I seen you, girl. Thank you for tuning in the conversation with Coach La. I think this is the first time you've been in the chat, girl. What's up to my boo thing? LaDonna's on here. I appreciate you tuning in. And Velo Ray, I appreciate all your commentary, girl. You making the conversation pop in the chat. Where y'all at in the chat? Remember, this is a live interactive show. I don't really take too many phone calls because it kind of can throw the show off and derail it. But you can get in the chat. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube. You can also follow me on therapist_coach LA, which is pretty much on all platforms, or at I am Coach LA, so that you can get in the chat and just have a conversation. If you know of any places that men can get support, drop it in the chat. Make sure you share this live and add your link so people can find the resources that they may be looking for. And of course, I'm always taking new clients, and I have 2 awesome therapists that are also taking new clients. So if you're looking for a therapist, maybe you want to shout out, come over here to Coach. Resiliency and Optimism Changes Lives is the name of the game and what we're all about. I truly believe that when people tap into their resilience and they tap into optimism, they can be more hopeful about their future, which is why I think that there is options for people to change. Because some of this stuff that you've been dealing with up until the age of 50, you just need the right conversation, right? It's all in how you deliver it, and might actually make somebody think about things differently if it's delivered in a way that's like, hey, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever considered that? Would you like some feedback on this, or do you just want me to listen? You'd be surprised how you can diffuse and disarm people who are so accustomed to kind of being firm and standing on business in their perspective. Yeah. I mean, look at, I got you on here, and I'm probably already getting you to consider some different perspectives.
I mean, for myself, speaking for myself, it's like I'm always open to change.
Right. Aren't you like 50 something?
No, I'm actually 25.
Go ahead and tell that story. But tell that story if you want to. You might feel. Yeah, but you might feel 25.
No, I don't feel 25. that check engine light comes on every morning.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
90 days. I love it. That 90 days to oil change light comes on. I love every minute of it.
So. Yes, I do. Listen, I know that's right. Thank God I don't look like what I've been through, guys. I don't know what's going on. I've been such a tongue twister these days. It's called brain fog. Some people say as you get older, you get brain fog and things just don't be working out the way they're supposed to. But I will tell you this, I definitely feel it more than I did, which is one of the reasons why I've been doing these 5Ks and I've been working out, because I definitely am like, okay, my body ain't like how it used to be.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you oil in yourself. I got to get an oil change a little bit more regularly. I need to get it every 3,000 miles. I can't be waiting, because exactly. them engines.
Once you get to 3,001, it's over.
Listen, them engines is like rusting up quicker than they was before.
Exactly. You'll be in a breakdown lane waiting for AAA.
Yeah, you ain't never lied. Oh my goodness. So masculinity in therapy. We've covered a couple things. It's almost the legal disclaimers coming on. That's why I'm kind of taking my time here to allow it to come on, because I know it's coming on any second now. And then we're going to wrap up the show. We still got to do Coach's Corner. We also do the bet on self moments. We're going to learn a little bit more about what EJ got in store and how he's betting on himself now, in the past, or currently. And Coach's Corner, we want to make sure we leave you guys with some tangible ways to better manage your mental health, fellas. Here we go.
We are the Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
All right, now, you know what that means when that comes on. We almost done with the show. Y'all might have noticed I have started to extend the show out at least an extra 30 minutes just to give me a little bit more time with my guests, especially ones certain topics like this. It's kind of hard to get it all done in an hour. Just like in a real therapy session, those initial intakes sometimes take about 90 minutes to really get to the nitty gritty of it all. So in thinking about this, right, let's talk about your bet on self moments. And I want to sort of dive in to some of the things that you have grappled with and where you are now with betting on yourself, right? If I could just, yes, there we go. Bet on self moments, right? Mm-hmm. You've been here before, but for those that are new to the show, these are those times in your life where you decide to get in the driver's seat. Maybe you've been in the passenger seat. You might even have been in the back seat, and you have sort of allowed situations, circumstances, your upbringing, which you didn't get from your parents, to sort of be your rationale for why you are who you are. That statement of like, this is just how I am. This is how everybody in my family is. And you start to say to yourself, wait a minute, something about this ain't right. You know, I need to be the cycle breaker. I need to be the disruptor. I need to change this, and I need to bet on myself and start to really create new traditions, new legacy, and change the trajectory of myself and my family. Talk to us about some of your bet on self moments, either past, present, or future.
Well, you know, one of the, I would say the most important bet on self moment that I had was when my children were around, I believe my daughter might have been like 6 months. My youngest son was 8. And my oldest son was 13 years old. We were living in Dorchester, and there was a situation that took place out at the park. Some people were like messing with my 2 boys, and, you know, it became pretty chaotic. I just look back on the times, you know, myself growing up in Mattapan, all of the gang activity that was going on throughout the 80s, the early 90s. And, you know, me having to navigate through that, my parents not really even knowing all of the different challenges that I'm facing, just not being able to wear certain paraphernalia because it was associated with a gang. So like wearing certain hats, wearing certain shirts, wearing certain jackets, those were just things that, you know, you just couldn't do. So I chose to move my children out of Dorchester. I moved them to Quincy, put my kids in the Quincy public school system because for a couple of reasons. Mainly for their safety. Number 2, I didn't want them to have to navigate through that whole gang era type of thing like I had to go through. And also, I wanted them to also be around some folks that didn't look like them. I wanted them to be in a, you know, in a community that was diverse, where they're meeting folks that are Haitian, Jamaican, Asian, white, black, just so they can be familiar with other races outside of those that were just in our own community. And I think that was one of the best choices that I made for my children. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I just, you know, prayed on the situation and hoped that they would be able to adapt to a new community, to a new school system. I mean, they did very well with it. And I, you know, I don't have any regrets from doing that.
Sounds like that was definitely a masculine decision, right?
Oh, for sure.
A provider decision, a protector, which we didn't really talk a lot about that when we talked about masculinity. A lot of it is protection, right? I think protection and safety. And I think we have to think about not just physically protection, but I think mental and emotional protection is something that I don't think we talk enough about, that men can provide in that way too. I think my father's voice, to this day, I hear his voice telling me, baby, you can do it, bet on self, you're beautiful. Those things gave me the emotional foundation that I needed. And I didn't have that all along. So there was a time that me and my father's relationship was very tumultuous and we were not as close. And I didn't feel like a daddy's girl because my father was 19 when he had me. He was a very different man, you know, in his 50s than he was at 19. Yeah. Right. He had grown, he had learned some things. So being in my late 30s, I think when we had this conversation, of expressing and taking that bold risk to bet on myself, to say, you know what, I haven't always felt like a daddy's girl. I've always felt like I needed to be strong because I was the oldest and I needed to have it together. And I didn't really come ask you for help because I was resentful that it was like, you're the oldest, you got to understand, you got to wait. So all that waiting, I stopped asking for support. I stopped asking for help. And that still shows up in relationships with men I have now. I had to remind myself because at the moment I get a sense that you either don't want to or you got a lot on your plate, I'm conditioned to go figure it out and not ask you because I don't want to add anything else to you. Yeah. Right. I don't want to ask you for anything else. If you give me any that you don't want to be bothered, that's a quick way for me to be like, all right, time for me to get in my mode of taking care of me because you're about to, you know, either you can't do it and I got to go figure it out. So having that conversation with my father and him saying he was sorry because he realized that hyper focus on me being the oldest, he could understand why I felt that way, was so healing for me. And that I was always a daddy's girl, but he realized that he also, because he saw my strength, he would cater to that. And he realized that I often needed something else. Oh yeah. And that he knows now, he knew then, but then he didn't know. Right. And I thought that was such a validating conversation because it was like, what are you talking about? I was always there for you. You don't have no reason to feel that way. Yep. So I miss my dad so much because he had this ability to like hear you and understand and meet you where you were. And I think that emotional safety I still crave in my relationship with a man, like intimate relationship with a man, because I got that from my father. So that's my expectation, right? That you will get to know me. My father could just tell what's going on with you. He would call me out of the blue. You've been doing a lot. You need, take a minute. Yeah. Take a minute for yourself. You don't have to always know all the answers and have it all together. It's okay to not have it together. And it was those moments of masculinity for me that let me know it was okay if I felt he had me, but he also believed I could do it. So I think that we have to remind men, I think for me, men have to remind themselves of that. And I think that would help some not feel like they don't want to be here. It's for us to see them and for us to also recognize that men have so much more to provide and they offer and should be valued more than just their paychecks, their sexual, abilities, but just that some of it is their emotional safety that some men naturally are able to do is not always valued the same. What you think about that?
No, I mean, I just, when it comes down to safety and being that protective, partner as a male, I mean, all of those things have to come into play, not just the physical part of it, but the emotional piece of it as well. As far as myself, I can't speak for everybody else. I'm a very protective person, like to the point where it's like I don't even really know how to turn it off, right? So to give an example, let's just say we were at a party somewhere in Roxbury, right? Let's say we're at Slade's Bar and Grill. I just so happen to pop up. You already in there. There's a few people there that, a few people that we know, but I know that, we're good friends, right? My eyes are always going to be watching you to make sure that you're good. Even though I came there by myself, we didn't ride there together, because that protection piece, I just don't know how to turn it off. And this happens with all of my friends. I'm just always watching them to make sure that they're safe. But the the emotional piece of it, and being able to know that your child can handle themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but also having that ability to be there for them emotionally, to walk them through certain situations, is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, sometimes with my sons, they have certain situations that they don't even come to me and talk to me about. They talk to their mother about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's because they feel safer with their mother. I think it's just because it's like that nurturing relationship that she has with them. They
Mm-hmm.
feel a little bit more at ease talking with her about it.
Well, do you think, and thank you for sharing that. I
Mhm.
think it goes back to, if you go into protection mode,
Mhm.
fix it mode, which again, I think is can be seen as a masculine trait, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's also connected to just living in the inner city, and that's like a trauma response? Because I know when I go on dates, there's the woman walks in the inside of the street, the man walks on the outside,
That's how I do it.
right?
Yeah.
When you go into a establishment, usually the man faces the door so he can see what's coming in. Like, these are like things
Yeah.
that I think, one, you
Mhm.
got to be taught that, but two, I wonder often if that comes from us growing up in the hood, right? Keep your head on a swivel. There's just certain things that I don't know that other cultures naturally do that.
Yeah.
Like, but I know that when I've dated a protector,
Mhm.
black man, he's like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get on the other side."
Yeah.
Like,
It's again, that's another thing that I just cannot seem to turn off. Like, I'll just use Florian Hall as like an example, like the big room, right? They put the round tables up, and some people, they sit down and their back is facing towards the stage where the DJs usually set up. I can't sit like that.
mhm.
I just can't. I would much, if the seats were all full, I would much rather stand, because I need to see not only the DJ or the person who's
Mhm.
hosting the event,
Mhm.
but I need to see that front door, because I just need to see what is going on around me. It's just a natural habit.
A natural habit or a learned habit?
Well,
Because I would respectfully push back and say that you
I would say
learned
learned.
that's a learned
I'll say
habit.
it's a learned habit. And
I don't think that everybody does
yeah,
that.
I'll say it's a learned habit, because each and every establishment that I go into, no matter where it is, I always need to see what is going on at at the door. That's just,
I'm telling you, that's
yeah,
a hood
yeah,
trauma response.
yeah.
It's just like, as a woman, it's very rare that I want to just go walk by myself,
Mhm.
right? Especially not at night. But even early in the morning, I'm leery of just going out with my headphones on and just walking
Mhm.
alone as a woman. That is conditioned and learned behavior, because there's other places that women don't automatically think like that,
Mhm.
right? They're like, what do you mean you can't run by yourself? Another big one is solo trips.
Mhm.
That my mother was like, what you gonna do? Where and go by yourself? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
That was not something you were supposed to do, especially not going to no foreign country. Now you see more and more women, going and doing that. But then I ran across this Instagram reel where the lady was showing all these different ways to protect herself while she was away. And somebody said, well, if you gotta do all of that, why even go away?
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of anxiety to be doing all of that to,
Mhm.
to safeguard the room. So I think these are learned behaviors.
Yeah.
But again, I do think that naturally most people would say protection and providing
Mhm.
is something that's masculine.
Yeah.
However, women have to protect and provide too,
Mhm.
right? Wouldn't you agree? A mother's protection of her kid is, that's no joke. We
No.
gonna look out for our own.
Mhm.
So I think some of these things of what's masculine, what's feminine, sometimes I think just sort of blur the lines and make it kind of hard. And I think we can be harder on each other instead of just thinking about, we're both parents.
Yeah.
And if we're both parents, we want to protect our kids.
Mhm.
It's not a mother thing. It's not a father thing. It's a parent thing. I want to protect my kids.
Yep.
If you care about your neighborhood, you care about your family, you're going to be, I'm a family oriented person. I think some of it, we can take some of these gender and some of these labels off, because I think it doesn't allow us to see how much we connected and how similar we are.
Mhm.
That's my take on that. But
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go to we're in the final chapter. Coach's Corner.
Mhm.
Coach's Corner. What is Coach's Corner? For y'all that are new, that have been here and it's first time coming, this is our opportunity just kind of to wrap things up, right? And really just to allow us, me and my wonderful guest, Mr. EJ, a chance to reflect and gather some key takeaways that we like you guys to take away from the show and to carry it forward into your week, your month, your year, and just, your life. So that being said, what do you think what is a takeaway, or what is something that you're taking away from this conversation that you hope that the listeners sort of have grasped from what we talked about?
I mean, one of the biggest takeaways that I took away from this conversation is just viewing masculinity from a broader scope and knowing that it just doesn't apply to men. Because as you mentioned, it can also apply to women being like that protector, that provider for her children. Because I never really looked at it like that. I've always looked at it like, I always looked at a mother being masculine because she's a single parent taking care of her kids on her own because the father's not involved. But looking at it from that lens, I can see why the masculinity plays a part, when it comes down to the mother protecting her children and providing for them, making sure that they're good and that their well-being is taken care of. So for me, that's a big, huge key takeaway, is to look at it from like a totally different lens and being able to, decipher the two and know when, this masculinity should be, brought to the table versus this one when it comes to a man. So being able to decipher the two between a man and a woman, was a huge key takeaway for me.
I agree. I think we didn't really talk about femininity, but we everybody got a yin and a yang.
Yeah.
There's some people that say, oh, you're being girly because you cried, right? That's not something a man's supposed to do, is cry, but you're human.
Yeah.
We all cry,
Mhm.
And when you're talking about a little boy and a little girl, they both cry equally. When you're a baby, you don't tell the little boy, baby, what are you crying for? Stop crying, right? And then at some point that changes, right? Well, boys can't cry anymore because it's not something a boy's supposed to do, but it's okay for girls to still cry, but not really though. And I think these things always make me go, huh? But as a baby, it was fine. We all cry. It's a natural thing. But then we socialize people to start to not think it's okay to cry. When crying is a sign of pain, it tells you a lot about what's happening. So I would say redefining these for me, masculinity and femininity, and looking at it as a human experience versus trying to make it a gender. It is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
And you can't really build your legacy from, running on an empty cup. I think the biggest thing here is like suicide is preventable. And I think self-care is part of the survival, is part of what you need to do. It's not this luxury thing that we should look at. It's essential. The same way you take care of your physical health. For some of y'all might not do this. You brush your teeth every day, you put on deodorant, you take a bath, right? Like there's certain things that you do that you naturally know that that's part of your hygiene. But what about your emotional hygiene? Right? What about your emotional hygiene and how you on a daily basis take care of yourself? And I think if we did that more, we probably wouldn't have as many mental health disorders and illnesses if we talked about mental health more in a standpoint that we all have it and we all need to manage it. We all need to express our feelings and emotions and navigate this human experience versus masking it all the time. Masking it is what creates the illness. It's the same thing. If you don't eat right, you don't drink water, right? You don't take care of things, you get an illness. Same thing with mental health, people. If you don't take care of it, you don't have a routine and you don't engage with it, you can develop an illness. You eat too much sugar, you can develop diabetes. It's the same thing, but we don't talk about mental health in that way. The only time people want to go to therapy is if they are hurting or if they have an illness or disorder. But there's lots of research that shows that most of mental health disorders happen before the age of 14. Think about that. I just said that most people who commit suicide are between the age 10 and 30 something, right? Most of life starts lifing for you when you start to really feel it is in your adolescence
Mm-hmm.
and your young adult life. So if you don't get the supports and resources you need during that time, you get maladaptive behaviors.
Yeah.
All toxicity is maladaptive behaviors, is coping strategies that don't necessarily help you,
Mm-hmm.
but they do though.
Yeah.
They're part of what people do to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that in terms of that, and then some self-care tips. I have some. What are some self-care tips that you practice or that you can recommend to the brothers that are listening who don't have emotional hygiene, right? They don't have a routine that really they can start to engage in to help them better manage their mental health. What are some of your ideas?
I mean, some ideas, go to the nail salon, get a pedicure, manicure, get a full body massage. Just be in that room, getting a full body massage and just releasing all of the stress and the strains. I mean, not something that you do, every other day or even once a week, but treat yourself once a month. I mean, because it does get pretty expensive to do these things, but um, at least do that at least once a month, just to kind of like unplug from the world, the society, everything that's going on, and taking care of yourself to the point where it's like, taking care of that self-care piece of doing that pedicure, the manicure, getting that massage, or even stopping off at like I have a store I go to, Herbal Essentials, where they sell like all the good stuff, all the good soaps and all the oils and all that, the incense and all those different things. Stop in the store like that and just get some, pick up some items just for your body, lotions and um, soaps, and oils, and whatever, just to take care of yourself, to be able to pour into yourself, because I think that would help with a lot of your mental stability, because um for the most part, no one's ever going to take care of us better than we take care of ourselves. So if you're pouring into yourself, it's going to create a better mental situation for yourself. And those are some of the key points that I try to focus in on. I mean, I've been slacking with it a little bit lately, but I'm going to get back in tune with that, because I love who I am. And every man out there and every woman out there should love who they are. So you have to pour into yourself.
I love that. I think you can't pour from an empty cup, people. And that goes for my brothers too. Everything that EJ just said, I second that. Like, take care of yourself, cut your nails, get your feet done, get haircuts. Like, all of that's great. But then I want to add, take some time to actually journal. I challenge any man listening to this, take the next 30 days to actually check in with yourself on a regular basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get around a group of men that are talking about mental health and talking about being better men. Connect to groups. I know, shout out to James Lambert III. Follow him on Third Exposure. He does a group for men. Tap into those things. Talk to a therapist, right? What can it hurt? What do you really lose from having the conversation? Therapy is nothing but a conversation, which is why I do the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's to let y'all know I'm a therapist. We're having a conversation. As you can see, I didn't bite nobody. It didn't hurt that bad, did it? It felt good. It's like a little warm hug, it's all right. It's all right to think things through and to have these reflective thoughts. It's all right to do it, right? So I want you guys to think about, what does masculinity mean to you? And how does that definition impact you and your relationships? How much pressure is it putting on you or not putting on you? These are the things that we often don't get asked, nor do we talk about. I when I talk to couples, I often say, well, what's your definition of being a wife? What's your definition of being a husband?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you guys the same? Where do you differ?
Mm-hmm.
Girlfriend, what is your definition of being a girlfriend, a boyfriend? Where are you the same? Where do you differ?
Mm-hmm.
What are the expectations of these roles?
Yeah.
Can this person fulfill that? Can't fill that. What is it that you are saying and not saying? Oh, I'm not telling them what I want. Well, how are they supposed to know?
Mm-hmm.
Stop thinking that people are supposed to read your mind.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I want everybody to really check in with themselves. That's the whole purpose of this show, is really to get people to start having conversations that everybody is not having. Please share this live. Let somebody know. Yep. Every Sunday, 10 p.m. can sit right here on the virtual couch. And hopefully I get you talking to other people in your life about some of the things we talk about on the show. And if you're needing support, you're looking for a therapist. Yes, I'm taking new clients. Feel free to reach out at admin at werocklives.com. You can also find me on Psychology Today. If you're looking for me, you can just Google me. I'm everywhere, y'all. You know, as they say, I don't want to Google me, baby. Google me. Any closing thoughts, Mr. EJ, as we get out of here?
The only closing thoughts that I have is that the listeners take heed to the content that was delivered throughout this show, apply it to their lives, start off the week great and end it even greater.
And you already know what I'm going to tell y'all to do.
Mm-hmm.
Guess. Bet on yourself, baby.
All
Betting
the
on
time.
self is not selfish. The more you bet on you, it's a reflection of the rest of us. You show us how great you are. You give other people permission to be great as well. So I'll see y'all next week for another episode of Conversations with Coach La. Meet us on the virtual couch, 10 p.m. every Sunday, right here on Heat 98.1 FM. That's right. Boston's only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio network. And I said that with my chest. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Have a good night.
See you later.